Very good morning to all. We will be starting in a couple of seconds. Introductions by Mr. Julian Perez, Economic Development Director with the City of Coral Gables.
Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Julian Perez, and I'm the Director of Economic Development for the City of Coral Gables. On behalf of the administration and all of us that work here in the City of Coral Gables and our elected officials, thank you so much for participating in this very important webinar. Thank you to the presenters for taking time for their busy schedule to help our community and interested stakeholders on how to effectively apply the existing technology that is out there, currently available, to communicate more efficiently with their customers and providers. I would like to point out that this is one of several seminars that we're putting together as a city to help our business community through these very difficult times. Our reopening program has two phases, and those phases are divided in tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 1 it was all about communication, coordination, and cooperation with our business community and our business partners. And tier 2 is more about the mitigation, and it's more about getting the resources out to our community, specifically technical resources as well as financial resources as we move forward. And this is the reason why this is such an important webinar or a webinar series, is because it really introduces our business community as well as our interested stakeholders again to all of the tools that are out there in order to make their businesses more efficient and more important, more resilient as we move forward through this pandemic. And again, thank you so much to IT, to Raimundo, and to the participants for taking time to be part of this very, very important webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian, so much for your partnership and for all the great things that you're doing for our business in our city. So I would like to thank all the participants too. My name is Raimundo Rodulfo. I am the Chief Innovation Officer and the Director of Information Technology for the City of Coral Gables. And I would like to thank all the members of our panel and our distinguished guest panelists that are taking time from their busy agenda, like Julian said, and they are here to help our community. So thank you so much to all of them. And I would like to point out that we have a web page that you see in the bottom of your screen. And I also added a QR code that you can take a snap with your cell phone. It's coralgables.com/business technology webinar. And there you will find a lot of resources like the recordings of this webinar and all the material and all the links that our guests are going to provide to you for resources and for information. So if we can go to the next slide, please, Alex. So in our panel, so we have a great panel today. We have Dr. Sarah Roshinek. She's the business technology professor at the University of Miami. So Sarah, she's a great friend and partner of our city in our smart city initiatives. Here in Coral Gables, she's a professor and she's a distinguished scientist and researcher. She's also a visiting professor with multiple universities, from California, UCLA, USC, and the University of Tel Aviv. She has published over 150 papers and articles. She's a reviewer for the National Science Foundation. She's an inductee into the Women in Technology Hall of Fame, and she also serves in the leadership team of several professional organizations. She's a renowned expert in many technologies like big data, analytics, website optimization that she will talk a little today about, app development, cybersecurity, blockchain, and many others. So she serves as an advisor and as a mentor to the business community. And she's a consultant with major tech companies. So thank you, Sarah, for being here with us today. So we have also from Silicon Valley, we have Lan Jensen. She's the founder and CEO of Adaptable Securities nonprofit organization. And also she's the founder of a great initiative that is called Tech Cares that she will talk about today. So with her organization, she helps over 500 cities and organizations to overcome challenges in cyber risk. She's a certified and award-winning cybersecurity leader at Fortune 500 companies, among other achievements. She is a co-chair of the Cybersecurity and Privacy Advisory Committee for the GCTC of the initiative that is sponsored by the US Department of Commerce and the Department of Homeland Security. And she also serves in many boards in Silicon Valley. So her organization Tech Cares has a campaign with a coalition of 19 non-profit partners, which includes the city of Coral Gables. And during this pandemic crisis, Tech Cares have been assisting small businesses, cities, first responders, and teleworkers to use online technologies. So she's gonna talk about those use cases today. So Lan, of course, is a good friend of our city. She's a collaborator in all our initiatives. So thank you, Lan, for being here with us today. Very early there in California, so thank you so much. And we have Roland Saer. So Roland is the CEO and founder of Seed. It's a digital transformation and e-commerce agency in our region, in Miami, and he's involved with nonprofit organizations offering e-commerce consulting services and workshops to the community. He has one of the biggest YouTube channels for e-commerce in Spanish that is dedicated to offer free training, tutorials, and consulting to the Hispanic community. His company Seed was selected as one of the agencies to provide COVID-19 support as a Square solution provider. So they are delivering more than 50 online stores monthly for the SOS program all over the United States at no cost to the business owners. Square online stores offer free consulting services. They enable businesses, restaurants, food trucks to offer delivery in store and also curbside pickup. So, and I have with me two members of my team in the city's IT department. So I have Nelson Gonzalez, the assistant IT director, and he's also the cybersecurity officer for our city. Nelson is a certified expert with many years of experience in network, telecommunications, IT, and cybersecurity. He has managed and implemented many network and telecom infrastructure projects for our city over the last 15 years. And Alex Gamundi, a senior IT analyst for our city, he's an IT expert with over 25 years of experience in server, data center systems, cloud computing, all the consumer electronics, and many others. He is also part of the team that supports virtual commission meetings for our city. So he's gonna talk about telework. And he has a lot of lessons learned during that process that he's gonna share with all of you during the pandemic. And I already mentioned, I'm Raimundo Rodolfo. I'm the CIO Director of IT. And my background is as an engineer for 26 years in multiple disciplines, electrical, electronics, systems, industrial engineering. And I worked for 10 years in the private sector in Fortune 500 telecommunication companies. And after that, I have been for 16 years in the city's IT department. So thank you so much all. And if we can go to the next slide, please, Alex. Okay, so in our agenda today, we will try to cover multiple important areas and topics. And we are gonna also have a second hour with a Q&A, where we're gonna have an open discussion, and we're gonna read all your questions and your comments in the Zoom chat. So we will try to cover multiple important areas like e-commerce, opportunities in the digital economy, business technology, internships from the university, that Dr. Roshinek is gonna talk about that, use cases, solutions that are being implemented in other places, use cases from California during the pandemic, security, telework, and best practices. So in the first hour, I'm going to start reviewing the results from the tech survey. And then Roland is gonna talk about e-commerce strategies. And Dr. Sarah Roshinek is gonna talk about business technology and the opportunities from the university for internships. And then Lan is gonna talk about leveraging all those use cases of technology that are making a difference in other places and also in our region. And Nelson is going to talk about cybersecurity tools and best practices. Very important today that we know that some statistics say that cybercrime has increased 600% during the pandemic. So it's very important to know what are the best practices about cybersecurity. And Lan can talk about that too, because she's a cybersecurity expert. And telework tools and best practices also, Alex is going to share all his lessons learned during this time. So we can go to the next slide, please, Alex. So the results of the survey. So I I would like to thank everybody who participated in the survey and sent us your responses. So we got good participation, almost 150 responses we got. And in the next slide, I'm gonna go a little more into the analysis. So, but if you want to see the data and the dashboards, we are going to include this URL, this web address that you see at the top. It's gonna be part of the information that we're gonna include in our web page, and we're gonna send to you after the webinar. So basically, we wanted to cover the part of the industry. So what is your sector? How are you using technology today? What infrastructure you have? What infrastructure you need? What media channels are you using? E-commerce, digital partnerships, etc. How are you leveraging digital advertisement? So that's what we wanted to cover in this survey to get a better understanding of the current situation, and also to shape this webinar to fulfill more your biggest concerns and your biggest needs. Alex, if we can go to the next page, please. So here, this is a summary of the analysis. So we can see that a majority is already relying more, sorry for the typo, depending more on technology during these times. And I would have like a follow-up question to each one of these results. So my follow-up question for the first part is, how can technology benefit your line of business? Then we have 50% said that they have infrastructure to move their business online, which means that other 50% doesn't. So the follow-up question from me to you is, how can you leverage free or low-cost online platforms and apps? So we will try to answer those questions today. 60% said that they have some form of e-commerce. So the question is, how can you benefit from easy to set up e-commerce solutions such as Square, etc.? And we have our expert, Roland here. He's going to talk about that. Only 10% is leveraging digital partnerships, which is, I would say, is a missing opportunity. So my follow-up question is, how can you benefit from adopting these business models that are bringing a lot of results today? 50% use digital advertisement services like Facebook ads and Google AdWords. So my follow-up question is, how can you leverage free or low-cost, high ROI, return on investment online advertisements? And 50% need training on digital marketing analytics. That's very important. Dr. Roshinek, she's an expert in all those areas. She can talk about that. The majority are interested in technical training and webinars in social media, website, etc. So Dr. Roshinek is going to offer some excellent resources and follow-up webinars on that too from the University of Miami. And the majority are already using digital platforms. So and the highest use is, like Facebook, Instagram, and also websites. So the follow-up question is, how can you leverage digital technologies to better communicate with your customers or future customers, and also with your employees using telework, and also how can you connect to your supply chain? That's very important. That has been disrupted during the pandemic. We can move to the next slide, please, Alex. I will invite our next panelist, Mr. Roland Saer. So welcome, Roland. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Roland. I run a digital transformation agency and an e-commerce, basically, agency. We specialize in transforming businesses from traditional ways to do business to more automated and more efficient ways to do business. Obviously, the whole COVID situation has changed and has made us all leap forward at least 5 years. So we are seeing a lot of businesses getting like, I don't know, having a lot of panic because of this. It's not the end of the world. There are some tools that you can use. There's a lot of things that you have to learn. This is important, and I'm going to talk about that on the last slide. You have to be open to new things and to read a lot. So the options that you have for COVID-19 right now on the e-commerce side are very straightforward. There are some offers, meaning monetary wise, and there are some knowledge also in the market. So the main ones that we're working right now with are Fiverr is giving you $1,000 on credit with no payments for 6 months. Fiverr is the biggest freelance platform in the world. There's a lot of good resources there. There's a lot of good people. There's a lot of also not so good people, but try to keep it on verified users. But you can get an online store done by someone that actually knows what they're doing, and you can pay in 6 months. So you have that credit there. With Square is the leader in POS or payments in the United States, basically. We're doing a lot of work with them because they have a program for the Square online store, which basically transition your business to the web. Especially right now, they are expanding, but right now they're offering a lot of solutions for grocery stores, for restaurants, and for food trucks. It has their own delivery system with routes and everything, like Uber Eats and everything. It does the whole thing. It has contactless delivery also, and pickup. So all those options are already available. They're free to use. There's no cost at all. They charge you like $12 a month if you want to use your own domain, but it's still super affordable, and it enables you to not only to do that, but also to get appointments and charge a fee for an appointment, for example. So if you're a doctor or a massage or whatever, you can actually leverage that tool of the appointments and bookings to automate a lot of your business. Square is also giving that for free, and if you qualify for the program, we can build a store for you at no cost. That's one of the things that we are doing the most right now. We're doing a lot of stores. The volume increased to 4 stores per day last week. So we're doing a lot of stores for free for customers. The link, I think they're gonna send you the link for the Square platform, so you can sign in our website, and we refer you to Square. Square gets back in, and contact you. And as long as you're using a Square for your POS, for take payments, or for invoicing, the store is gonna be basically free. We have a theme called Roraima. It's a Shopify theme. It's a $300 theme. We're giving it for free. Just contact us. Shopify is giving you 90 days instead of the 14 days trial. So for 90 days, you won't pay anything on Shopify. I can share, I think that I shared the link also. So that's on the e-commerce side of the simple stores, what they have to offer. Can you please go to the next slide? Okay, so this is important, and we have only 10 minutes. So when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So it's very important that you understand that not every platform are made the same. They're not. Shopify doesn't fix every e-commerce. It's a very common misconception that we have and that we get all the time, that everything is like, oh, I'll do it in Shopify. No, Shopify works for some businesses, but it doesn't work for some other businesses. For example, BigCommerce is one of our B2B solutions, and it's great for large catalogs. It's the same price as Shopify, it costs the same. But it works better with large catalogs. So if you have, I don't know, like a hardware store or something that has a lot of products and a lot of features on those products, like measurements, sizes, colors, and all that, BigCommerce is gonna work way better than Shopify, because Shopify was designed for clothing and simple products. It wasn't designed to host multiple, like 1,000 product catalog. So Shopify is not the solution for everything. Wix is very good on simplicity, and it has a little more complex catalog than Shopify, so I will put Shopify and Wix on the same area. We have some resources for Wix, what they are doing right now for COVID also. We're gonna share that with you. Square is better for very small businesses, small grocery stores, 200 products. It's great for restaurants. I mean, we have seen they're doing so well with Square and the online ordering and the delivery that we have customers that ask for a way to turn it off, because we had a customer in California that they sell pizzas and craft beer, and they were getting around 100 and 150 orders per hour, and the oven can only fit 4 pizzas. So basically the online store capability that they have now brought them to their knees in a good way. So because of that, Square released 2 weeks ago the staggering mode, which you can limit how many pizzas basically you can get, or orders of pizza you can get in an hour or whatever you want. Miva is enterprise, okay? So everything that if you need wholesale, if you need distribution, logistics, all that, Miva is a great e-commerce platform. However, it's more expensive, it's more complex, it requires more work. But if you're looking for something simple, Square for restaurant, grocery stores, and food trucks, Shopify if you have clothing, shoes, everything that is, or whatever is simple, books, anything that is simple with not many variants and not many options will work perfect with Shopify or with Wix. Both platforms are very user-friendly. You can change stuff, move stuff together and all that. And BigCommerce is better for large catalogs like Miva. However, Miva is more enterprise level. BigCommerce is the next level after Shopify. Okay, so keep an eye on the industry you are, because not every industry fits on all the platforms. The catalog size, which is important. If you're targeting B2B, B2C, or M2C, or direct to consumer, whatever you want to call it, we call it manufacturer to customer, because that's the future. It's from the factory to the customer, no one in the middle. The company size, it's also important. If you have more human resources, you can go with Shopify. If you have a designer or something, you can be more comfortable with Shopify than with Square. Square is very simple, very easy to use. So based on your knowledge and the complexity of your knowledge, you can scale up and have better resources platform-wise. Your budget is very important. Shopify starts in like $30 a month. BigCommerce too. Square is basically 12. Miva is 500. So it depends. And your marketing budget is also important, because you're gonna need to have marketing. There is no time. You don't have time for SEO. SEO takes time, and I think Dr. Rosnek is gonna talk more about that. So can you please go to the other slide? Missing one. Okay. Okay, this is important, very important for having an online business. Basically, this is what we require for every business to have it. And we usually work with bigger businesses, but even if you're a small one, you need to keep this in mind. You need a process. It's not negotiable. It's not, you can't work online without a process. You need a set of rules. This is, when we get the product, we put the product on inventory, we take the pictures. After you take the pictures, we verify the pictures, we put the pictures on the web. Once we put the pictures on the web, we check for the SEO of the product, and then it goes live. And then if someone purchases the product, what happened if someone makes some kind of request, what happened with customer service, who's gonna answer that, who's gonna reply to the chat on the website. All that is extremely important, and you have to keep that on a very smooth process. Micromanagement is really bad. If you are one of those business owners that do everything, you're gonna hit a wall like a very thick brick wall online, because there's so many knowledge and so many things you need to understand and to know that you're gonna flood yourself trying to learn the platform, trying to learn web design, trying to learn Photoshop or Illustrator or all that, and it doesn't work. You're gonna, the store will never launch. So you have to delegate a lot, and you have to trust people and put micromanagement aside. It's very hard. Online stores or e-commerce is very hard because you're competing with everybody. The main difference that having an online store against having a physical store is that if you're on a mall, you're gonna get traffic just because you're in the mall. The same goes with Amazon. If you have a store on Amazon or you have some products on Amazon, you're gonna get some traffic because you're on Amazon. However, to be in the spotlight, to be in the best real estate of the mall, like on Amazon, you have to pay for marketing. Otherwise, they're not gonna put you there. So having an online store on its own without relying on marketplaces also means that you have to do that marketing. You have to stand out against the competition. So you have to do a lot of things different. You have to innovate. You have to do great social media. You have to do, you have to become your own influencers. And that's one of the things that we encourage also. You have to get on Instagram. You have to start making videos. You have to engage with the customer, because everyone else is doing the other thing, which is just get something, try to resell it. But competing with the big guys is too hard if you have the same thing. But if you're special, if you give them something different, then they're gonna go to you. They're gonna be loyal to you, and they're gonna buy whatever you sell, which is the ideal situation. Another thing is e-commerce can be a bless and a curse. Too many orders are a problem. People say, we'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll do something about it. You can't. We have situations where we put businesses online. We move a 7,000 catalog online, and we put it on Amazon, and next day they have 4,500 orders. They can't keep up with that, even if it's just 400. If you never had an order before online and you get 400 next day, it's bad. It's gonna get really bad. So you need to have that process in place. You need to know what goes where. How are you gonna keep up with that? Because there's a lot of there's a lot of emptiness on the knowledge, because we have a lot of knowledge, collective knowledge, but every business is different. Every product is different. So we don't really know what's going to happen when you put that catalog out there. It can be, nothing, or it could be 5,000 orders next day. So you have to be prepared for that, and you have to try to include yourself into the digital system or environment slowly. So don't, if you're gonna go to Amazon and put your product there, put 100 products on the inventory first. So if you get 100 orders, you can manage those orders. Don't put unlimited, don't do that. You have to grow slowly, because the other bad thing is the reviews can kill you, because customers and customer service is above everything else. And that's another thing. You might be used to yell to people in your business and tell you, I'm not gonna do that to you or whatever. But on the digital world, you get a bad review and it's gonna stay there forever. It also means that Amazon, if you're on Amazon, for example, is gonna kick you out of the marketplace, like with no negotiation, with no, like they're gonna tell you, don't do that again, and the next time is your account has been closed. And they are very good finding you again. It doesn't matter if you open a new company or a new LLC or whatever, they're gonna find you again, because at the end, the data is out there and they have it. So customer service, yes. Online stores or high volume online stores can have a return rate of up to 30% or 25%. You have to digest that before you go online. That's why most of the resellers are basically dying, because they can't keep up with that return rate and their profit margins, unless you do volume, like Walmart volume. So customer service, keep an eye on them, make them happy. Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. I am wrong. Yes, yes, the box arrived empty. Yes, yes, I know. Sorry. We're going to send you another box with stuff in it. It's hard, but you have to do that. Volume is the door to success, and marketing is the key to opening. There is no online business without volume. If you're planning to sell 100 units or something, don't go online. It's not going to work. You're going to reach at that point, and you're going to see that probably you make a little profit, and that's it. But you won't have enough profit to restart the whole thing. Once you get a decent volume, because keep in mind something, the conversion rate, if it's decent, is 2%. So 2% of the website visitors will convert into something. So how many people do you need to put on the website so you get 2,000 orders per month? So you get 300 orders per month. You have to put 3,000 visitors, 4,000 visitors, 5,000 visitors, 10,000 visitors. And because of that, it makes marketing a must. Another thing that you have to keep in mind with marketing is marketing only works as a cycle. Unless you have a cycle, marketing will work if you have a cycle. If you start like, if you put $300 this month and then nothing happens, and next month you put 150, it's not gonna get better, it's gonna get worse. And you're gonna lose the 150. You have to be consistent on your marketing budget, and you have to wait for marketing to complete their cycle. A customer has to visit once a store at least 3 times to make a conversion. So if you're working with someone, if you're doing your own advertising or something, you need retargeting. If you don't know what retargeting is, it's basically when you go to Amazon and you see shoes, and then those freaking shoes chase you all over the internet. They are there because they have a 40% rate of conversion or more, depending on the industry, obviously. But you have to keep reminding them that they saw your product, that they interact with your website, and that they can trust you, because e-commerce is also a lot about, it's mostly also about trust. Amazon sells what it sells because of trust. People trust Amazon. People trust Walmart. So you have to leverage that trust, and you do that with social media and being, reliable, and having an online store that doesn't look fake. Put your face on your website. Please put your face on your website. Say, this is me. I have a website. This is my wife, and she does, I don't know, logistics. She put the stuff in the boxes. And don't put your children, because it will be a problem. But put everybody that works with you. Get a neighbor, put it there too, and tell that he's the consultant. Show people who you are, because the main problem that we have online is that I don't know what to trust. I don't know, even as an e-commerce developer, we always are like, what's that website? Where is it coming from? Who owns the domain? Why is it there? I mean, where did it come from? Because it's not like, oh, I'm gonna just give you my credit card information and that's it. So you have to be honest. You have to open yourself, and people will create that bond, that relationship that we need. But to do that, you need a lot of marketing and a lot of social media. So please keep that in mind. I don't know how much time I have. Do I have more time? I can speak 2 hours. So keep in mind the process. The process is very important. If you don't have a process, this won't work. You can ignore me all the time. You can say whatever you want, but you need a process, and you can't do micromanagement. You can't do everything. There are Fiverr, again, Fiverr has some people that are experts. Fiverr also have Fiverr Pro, which we are Fiverr Pro. Obviously the rates are way higher than the regular Fiverr users. But even if the guy that is selling you Google Ads for $10 and has 200 reviews, he has more experience than you do. So hire him. Even if it's really bad, it's gonna be better than you doing a crash course on AdWords and finding out you know, what to do on your own, because it's really complex, it's really hard, it's really dense. There's a lot of things to learn about digital marketing other than just put money there, find, you know, every woman with 13 years old, I don't know, and because we're gonna sell dolls for big girls, whatever. So it's more than that. It's more creating that audience, evaluating that audience, looking at the results of that audience, and finding, you know, the right audience is very important. And if you're running a business, you don't have time for that. So delegate and keep a process, please.
Thank you, Roland.
So Sarah is next. Yeah.
Presentation, and I appreciate those are very insight and from your experience. So we appreciate you sharing that with us, and we can talk a little more during the Q&A. We have Dr. Sarah Rosinek from UM. Dr. Sarah, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much. I first want to thank Coral Gables and Coral Gables IT. We've worked with them before on their smart city and helping them, and they've done a tremendous job. And when Raimundo reached out to me about joining this webinar, I thought that I wanted to do more in just giving a webinar, a 10-minute talk. And as we spoke, my students, we were just ending our semester. And as you know, many of you all have, or maybe in the universities or have children in school and so forth, you know that our higher education was disrupted as well. And let me just give you a little bit background about myself. I'm a professor of business technology, and I'm also a professor of health informatics. In both areas, from healthcare and also in the business community, there are a number of things that I always emphasize. One is technology is not good for technology's sake, but if we're gonna use technology, we need to do what? We need to have it to increase our revenues or decrease our costs and get closer to our client, our customer. And how I've run my classes has always been trying to apply it. So what I do in my classes, what's interesting, in the very beginning, I have always done my regular frontal classes and have broadcasted live to YouTube and to other places that if students, number one, were not able to be in class, they could be there. If they were sick, this was pre-COVID. And also students or other people from the outside, or if I had outside speakers, could come. And how I even did this semester in January, I was having a discussion with Raimundo and Alex, and I said, you know what? Bricks and mortar have to go out to the internet and sell. And I was even telling them, bricks and mortar, wouldn't it be nice when you have a salesman in your, basically in your office, or bricks and mortar, if you're a chef, to show how you're cooking, or if you're a bar, to show how people are doing, or if you're a physical therapist, why don't you go out to the community and show it? And then we were speaking about it, and they were saying, you know, that's a little bit far-fetched. And all of a sudden, I was teaching in my class, and what our students do is they create websites and they create a project. One of the projects in the beginning is they created a project where they're going to be creating a project. We were fortunate enough, I have a relationship with Wix, the academic version of Wix, where they got a free domain name and they got all the help. We got their SEO person from Miami Beach to come. We had, and to use Google Analytics. We had a person from California, and also physically they used to come to my class, and now we saw them online, and they got a certificate on web development. So at the end of the semester, my students are saying, oh my goodness, it's disruptive. We went from the middle of the semester and all of a sudden we had to switch. But for us, it wasn't a big deal because I already taught them collaboration tools. And they said, oh my goodness, are you just so smart? And I said, no, I'm not so smart. The virus took us over. I'm not that smart. But what happened was they got to have Zoom already prior to that. So when we switched over to Zoom, it was an easy transition. So what I told Raimundo is our students are now in the summer looking for internships. They have, for instance, budgeting. They have forecasting skills that they've taught. They've done already business analytics, and they've also had web development and SEO. My students, you know, among the younger people, they already have worked with a number part-time doing SEO development and also doing Instagram and other social media devices. So what I told Raimundo is, I'll do a pilot study this summer and see if we can match businesses to our interns. Those projects that I see that can make a good fit, because I don't want to waste people's time. I don't want to waste the students' time, and I don't want to waste businesses' time. You don't want to have someone that you're going to be starting to baby and it's going to be a disaster. And the students don't want to have an internship in a company that they have no skills on. So I want to do a matching. So what we have here, and I guess this is the URL, where will this be posted? They could even go now to it, right? Is that true, Alex? Can you put that in the chat, this URL? Can Alex or Raimundo do that? And you can have maybe all in the chat presented to all the attendees. Is what I have here is a request for a technology intern. And what I'd like you to do is fill out this request, put in this case, put in whether it be paid or unpaid, how many hours you want, and possibly if you're thinking about full-time internship, and then what are your specialty needs? And of course, I've worked in the past with accountants in forensic accounting. I've worked with attorneys as well in looking at ways to improve their businesses. That's a completely different body of work versus physical therapists. Yoga instructors all of a sudden are saying, hey, I'm a fitness, how do I get back out into the community is different. We have marketing or economics, you need any forecasting of, say, what's your specialty interest, and also what type of project you want them to do. I think kind of a specific project, if you could kind of hone in and Roland said it all. Did you hear Roland? First of all, thank you, Roland. You did an excellent job in showing some of the resources, but I say I got a headache if I had to do all that. I mean, who could even do it? You know, aren't we all even zoomed out? You know, there are even now studies, and there may be some psychological aspects that we'll get for too much zooming. But the idea is here, we need to focus, and I'd like you, even if you would like to, you can even fill this out now. And Raimundo and Alex were telling me that will go, and in this case, you have my email at the bottom, and I've even given you my text on that. And once you fill it out, if you can go to the next slide, Alex. The next slide is, what's the next step? And just in filling out the forms, I think is not enough. So what I suggested to Raimundo is that we'll start off, and since this is all pilot, none of us know what's going to happen next. And you can see even in the universities, we're struggling, and what is disruptive, what's going to be in education. And you folks, I feel for you, especially those of you in the restaurant business. How are you going to do that, you know? And how are you going to even sell more? Is if you look at this, I've set up for next Friday from 4 to 5 a webinar. But in my webinar, it's going to be an hour. And what I want to do is promote you all to be panelists, rather than in chatting sometimes, that you can all be panelists and we can see what are your needs, and maybe even in a way we can invite others there to basically merge and see how can we solve these problems, because it is a team effort. No one can do it alone. No one, you know, and if anyone tells you they can do it alone, I know one of two things. Either they don't know what they're talking about or they're lying to you, right? We're all in this world, but how we can work together. So where is this URL? If you can put that also in the chat where they can click on it, and you can fill out a webinar that I'm going to do next Friday. Then that is what, June 5th from 4 to 5 p.m. And once you fill out that you want an intern, then we'll talk about what are your needs? We'll maybe invite other people to help us because I can't do it alone. And from other people, maybe from the university, the community that have expertise to see where we can do some matching. And after we continue with that process, then I can get with Raimundo and the Coral Gables and see, do we want to do more webinar series? You know, it's on certain topics. I can see, you know, even with Roland was saying before, just on digital marketing. What's the case? What do I need the first things? How do you even evaluate any of this software? What's my first step? And then we can do it based on your interest. We can set that up. A lot of people now have to have problems with cash flow, even on an accounting measure. How am I going to meet even my bills? How am I going to forecast what's in the future? So these are the ways in which we're doing this. Okay, so and what I like is I like to be efficient and I like reusability. So while you're sitting here in a webinar, is what I like you to do is just fill that. If you're interested, fill it out now and you get it out of the way. We have so many things to do. So if you guys can, and then if you're willing to ask me questions, we can do it in Q&A offline. And what I told Raimundo as well is I almost see people come up to me in physical seminars. You guys can come up to me and ask me questions because I feel for all of us, you know, all of us are in this, but who knew it was going to happen so quickly? Think about even Zoom. Zoom was a company that I was in favor of a while back, and all of a sudden they couldn't keep up. Whoever knew about that? So if you can fill that out, and we'll have it in a fashion next week, next Friday as well. And then if you can go on to the next slide. I know we're tight on time, so I'll just talk a little bit about it. Our research was always in algorithmic trading. What do I mean? We started off in forecasting the stock market. Looking, if you think about it, there's what they call automated trading strategies that you put in rules and the computer trades for you. So what I've worked in the past with is putting up a lot in investigating a lot of those strategies and trying those out. I work with a number of traders I have every week. Even with traders, we try to improve trading strategies. Along with those, and you say, well, what does this have to do with SEO? What we found out is our algorithms were very similar to Google's algorithms in their SEO. So we started doing a research where we were trying to look at if a company was high in the search engine, or what we call SERP, the search engine's results page, would they have a higher return on investments? And we looked at that SEO, and we also looked at creating a domain name that matches a phone number. So, you know, like 1-800-Flowers, what's their domain name? 1-800-Flowers. We think about it, WizMoreBiz. We created a phone number called WizMoreBiz. By the way, if you call WizMoreBiz, guess who you get? You get me. Also, I do psychology of trading. So I have a phone number called The Psycho. And sometimes my students call me The Psycho. But in this case here, you can reach me on my cell. So if you looked at even the cell number I gave you, that spells The Psycho, WizMoreBiz. And we're trying to look at how can that increase? And for some companies, and I agree with Roland, everything isn't that nail and hammer. For some companies, it will not be useful to be number one. It may be just by word of mouth. It's not going to be for the SEO. So you have here that search engine. And what I do is I teach my students as well. They're starting to begin on that search engine optimization to have it. So you can see that. If you go to the next slide, because I know I'm probably running out of time. And I can give you a whole semester's worth or a whole thing. So here was how Google searches work. This URL, if you can, I guess you're going to get the slides, but you can put that on as well. In that URL, that has a number. It has like 198 different company software programs, from security to screencasting to the web, that will give you free 6 months, sometimes a year because of COVID. So here's a useful one. And if you think about it, I don't know if you have that, Alex, there's another one many of you may even heard about. Any of you have heard about Facebook is doing Facebook Shop? Look at that up. I put the URL there, Alex, if you can put it up for them in Facebook. And if you can Google it, Facebook Shop is what is Facebook doing? Just like what I was telling you, Raimundo, is they're saying, I'll have a store right there on Facebook Shops where and it was like Roland to say, do I trust you? I trust you if when you're in the store, you can show them the product. Isn't that better? That's the whole problem. I agree with Roland 100%. Who am I talking about? I'm even scared a lot of times in Miami, what kind of right? We're the head of the so-called con artists here in Miami, right? We're the head. A lot of times we're #1 in Medicare fraud. Why? Because we got a lot of con artists. And it's even hard to find on 101, but if they're masked behind a URL, who do I know? So this is interesting. We'll be looking at that type of technology as well. So you may want to check that out, that even Facebook is saying, hey, you know what, we'll take advantage of that as well. So I think this is my last slide, is it? I believe so, right? So
yes, thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much. Great resources.
I reach out and feel free, and I'm in with you. And one of our research is to be applied. A lot of times we create these great algorithms that you can back test, and it works 90% of the time, and I am just so happy. And then when I go to traders, they say, you know what, Dr. Russian, it works great on paper, but when we apply it, the market is so volatile, it's go so fast, we can't even put the trade in fast enough. So your model is great, but not for this market. So that's one of the things that I want to test, that we got to work together on that. And I appreciate it, and thank you so much, Coral Gables. They've been doing an excellent job that really we need this resource. Thanks.
Thank you, Doctor, for your partnership and for your great help to our community. And we're going to move to the next slide to have Lan Jensen from Silicon Valley, great partner too. And we are going to borrow 15 minutes from the Q&A. So we have a lot of time in the Q&A until 12. So we are going to be good with time. So welcome, Lan. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Raimundo. And the whole team is just been such efficiency in the organization of this webinar. So I think the people in Coral Gables are really getting a head start if I compare what you have done with what I know is out there. So wonderful to be here today. And first of all, I want to say, deep breath, because we are going to get out of this together. And because of what leaders like Raimundo, like Roland and Dr. Rushneck already have been doing, we actually could leverage each other's offerings and get out of this together. So for today, I'd like to just give 2 examples of small businesses functioning and trying to get out of the pinch by leveraging the communities and the government help. So the first example is a grocery store, which is only 1 mile away from San Jose City Hall. As you can see, they have a pretty robust store, and they also have very good customer ratings, even though they don't have a robust online presence. So their reputation actually precedes themselves. And the customers so far have been raving about the place being of high quality, a lot of fresh produce and spices, and yet with very low prices. So that's their advantages. If we can go back one click. However, the downside, like many stores, they experience the shorter or fewer customers once Silicon Valley has the shelter in place. directive from the government, which is way ahead of the rest of the country. And the store owner, Rosie, even though they enjoy great trust from their customers, but because they don't have a existing communication model to reach out to the customers, so there's no way. Basically, it's all of a sudden shorter hours and fewer visits from customers, right? And in the meantime, it's just it's such a pity that the store actually has a lot of hot items like sanitation products, like toilet paper, rice, and even yeast. So while the people here are all panicking about not being able to get such stuff, there is this store right in the heart of Silicon Valley, having them all, and yet not reaching out, not enough to let people know about it. And so now, because of our connection, Rosie welcomes our TechCare team to help with an online presence that can get the word out to customers in a trustworthy way and well-protected way, so that they don't have to be to even worry about getting defrauded and getting phished by cyber criminals. So that's one thing that we are doing to combine a comprehensive solution for their store. So all of that said, then, we are a team of 5 people have been working together with Rosie. And Dr. mentioned about Facebook Shop. Indeed, that is going to be one that the team will leverage. And also another need surfaced that Rosie's storefront is not very appealing. When people walk by, it's hard for them to notice. Lo and behold, City of San Jose actually has such a beautification program for storefronts. And so we have connected them up. Now, the other online capabilities that both Roland and Sarah mentioned earlier about AdWords and potentially even Nextdoor are all in the consideration, so that the team will find the most pertinent and easy to maintain methods for Rosie to get enabled and to be able to maintain once our team completes our engagement. So all of that is in the consideration while the team works with Rosie together. And lastly, some takeaways rather, that we have from this project includes that people can explore e-commerce before it's too late. I noticed that the survey results that Ramondo mentioned earlier, some people say, no, where our customers need a physical store where they can touch, they can see with their own eyes, touch with their hands, etc. So it may well be the case, but sometimes it may pay to explore and have a online operation on the side in parallel. And when a disaster hits like this one, you will be in a great position to continue operating. And the second takeaway from this one is that the trust that you have built and the goodwill from the entire community, that just beyond the local, your friends, the families, but it includes nonprofits, it includes the local governments. They really, really wanted to help, such as this webinar. It's not in like Ramondo's job description, probably, but Ramondo saw the need and rose up and wanted to help. So he invited all of these people who could help also to be together. So utilize all of that. And then social media is your friend, like Roland mentioned. If you have loyal customers, get them to say a few words about you. That really, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And in this case, a customer's testimonial also will have similar effect. And lastly, it pays to know services out there. And the services I mean the local government services for small businesses and nonprofits. That's often their mission, like our nonprofit. That's what we set out to do 3 years ago. And also other small businesses that because they know the struggle that a small business needs to go through, so they apply all of that in their services to you. All right, so that's the first use case. And I'm happy to report that the owner, Rosie, she was so impressed with the team's help. She recently, the one regret that we did not come too soon or early enough to her is that she recently printed out some business cards, like 5,000 of them. And then the team said, oh, you know, when you print your business cards, you can also print in there your online presence and also the two-way communication. Team are exploring WhatsApp, right? So that there's always an easier way for people to get into a interaction with you. And Rosie's like, oh, I wish I'd talked to you guys earlier. But never later than I mean, it's better later than never, I guess that's the phrase. So time to act now. The second use case is a ladies' fashion store, a women's fashion store. You can see from their pictures, it's very upscale fashion store in a wealthy neighborhood. However, even they still have to close down on the physical store because of the shelter in place. And their customers are loyal as well. So they're very different from the grocery store in that their customers don't really care about the prices being a bit high, because the key value to them is that it is unique and special. So for a smaller niche group, and that's their market. And similarly to Rosie, the downside for them is that their customer size needs to grow and their online presence needs to grow. They have played with Instagram a bit before and Facebook a bit, but it's not the focus. And so now they realize that they wanted to pivot and do a online store only. So my team now also consisting of retail strategy consultants from larger enterprises and technology professionals, as well as students, like in Dr. Asara's case. We also have 20 so far, plus students who are looking for opportunities to give back to the society while doing meaningful professional work. So together, and they are exploring the options for the fashion store. One more click, we'll see what the team has been doing. And this strategy is definitely much more important for this store than in some other cases. As you can see, all of the great points that Roland mentioned earlier need to be considered beforehand. You don't want to run into too many orders you can't handle. You don't want to run into having too high a price to set it up in the first place. And uniquely to this store, eBay, for example, another platform for small businesses, probably is not a good match for such a upscale fashion store. So all of those considerations will be contemplated and covered with the store owners and their several employees together. That being said, the takeaways from this store is that it's never too late to explore. And the uniqueness and goodwill also is another thing that this store will leverage. And they may be able to get famous people who love their clothes to say a few words about them. So we will also consider innovative approaches for the store. And in their case, it pays to know people because the owner and I, we have a mutual friend and who connected us. And now, voila, the store owner is able to leverage professional help, and all for zero cost, $0. Now, we mentioned about it pays to know people, it pays to know services, and overall, it's harder to know what kind of places can we go to have such opportunities to know people and to know services. Next slide, I'd like to share such an opportunity very quickly. So the next slide will show you an event that's coming up later in the fall. It's One World Together via Technologies. Some of you may have experienced the One World Together at Home event, which really bonds us all together. And you know what? Only because of technologies, we are able to pull it together and experience the world together virtually. The same way, virtually, there are many technologies that can be used to advance our businesses and our own quality of life together. So thanks to Coral Gables as well, you can see as one of the leading municipalities, along with some municipalities on the West Coast. And of course, also the federal level agency-led initiative, Global City Teams Challenge, are all working together to bring this to forefront. This particular event will showcase a lot of the services that Roland and Sarah mentioned earlier, as well as a job fair that we will bring together. And then for the cybersecurity side, we will have a catch the flag to bridge the gap of understanding as well between professionals and our users, really. We together are the backbone of the economy. So let's unite our strengths and efforts and advance the backbone together, because there's no other way out. Thank you, Armando. And I can conclude my portion.
Thank you so much, Land. So, and thank you for including us in this next event in Silicon Valley. So we are going to be there representing the East Coast. So we are happy to be there. So now we have Nelson Gonzalez, the Assistant IT Director. He's going to talk about cybersecurity and best practices. Can you go to the next slide, please, Alex?
Hello, good morning. I am the CISO for the city, and I have most of my experiences leading security for large enterprises, but we can also apply that for small environments. And to do so, I'm gonna use the remarks that the experts on the field just made. So you're gonna hear some of the statements that everybody made on the phone, like times like this, small businesses are reinventing themselves and they are increasing their online presence. And now they have to put their business online for customers to access it rather than coming to the store for one or the other reason, either to generate more income or to replace the income that they lost because people cannot come to the storefront. And that means money, investment, risk. And like we heard before, cybersecurity threats have increased by 500–600% because they know that people have to adapt and put everything online, and they don't necessarily have the experience or the resources or the budget and financial, accessible to financial budgets to create cybersecurity to protect systems. So what do? We're going to recommend you to use what's on your fingerprints, which is a lot. And by using some of the best practices, you'll be able to protect your online presence, like on your Facebook that now you're using more, or whichever internet platform you chose for social media to do your marketing. You want to make sure that the right message is being conveyed, that nobody's getting into your account and putting the wrong information and poisoning your databases or your campaigns, misleading your customers, which would create bad reviews for your business. And like Ron said before, it will always be there, and your customers are just not going to come back, and you may lose potential customers. So for that, we use, I recommend to use complex passwords on your platforms. Passwords can be painful to remember, but it's important that you use passwords that are more than 8 characters, that have comprised of letters, numbers, and alphanumeric characters. Avoid reusing this password in different platforms. So if you have a password for your banking, don't reuse it on your Facebook or on your Twitter, because if one of those websites gets compromised, then what hackers do, they cache your password and try to reuse them everywhere else. And change them as often as you can. We recommend 3 months. Most people do 6, but at least change them once a year. Don't let them go beyond that, because it becomes risky. And your password is the door into your online presence. Don't share them. Don't give them away over the phone. Don't write them down somewhere. Don't put them on your cell phone. If you lose your cell phone, there's your password, and most likely it's going to be the URL to what that password was for. And there you go. You're at risk now that that platform being accessed. If possible, combine your passwords with some sort of secondary authentication today that is available free of cost by most of the providers out there, and you can find them on everything. You find them on banking platforms, telepresence like Zoom, your email, your Gmail, your Office 365, whichever email you have. Most of them have a combination of either a very rudimentary, like your password, combined with an avatar of a picture that's meant for you when you log into the website. You know that is the website, because nobody else is going to be able to produce that picture that you picked. Some more advanced services are going to send you a text or a call or an email, depending on your capacity. And all of this, again, without investing money. It's also very important, since you guys are more than likely either ramping up into this environment or hiring new people that don't know much about your business or this environment, to keep up, to be trained. And training in normal cases costs money. In this case, the Department of Homeland Security has a campaign called Stop Think Connect, which is free of cost. It provides up-to-date information on a weekly basis. They have several campaigns that will help you keep your online presence clean and secure. Next slide, please. Very, very importantly, is to worry about email security. Why? Because when you're online and now doing all these transactions, you're going to get notifications, you're going to get feedback for your campaigns, you're going to be reaching people back and forth through email, you may be sending invoices, you may be receiving invoices. So you have to be more and more aware of your content that you're accessing on those emails. Again, free of cost. I'm going to try not to cover anything that costs money, because you already spend a lot of money on everything else. So most email providers have a basic anti-spam. Some of them has a little bit more advanced, but the basic is good. It's a lot better than not having anything. It will clear out most of those phishing bad URLs that takes you to bad websites. Again, use 2-factor authentication. It's free of cost 90% of the cases. Avoid clicking on those embedded links that come from unknown sources. If it comes from a known source, still look at it. Make sure that the email address is properly spelled, that there's no misspelling on the body of the email, that the subject makes sense. And again, if you receive an invoice for an RV trip and you're in the business of selling vegetables, more than likely that is malicious. Don't click on it, get rid of it. If you're receiving an email that doesn't look good, but is related to something that you do, make a phone call that customer before you open that attachment, because it can undo everything that you've done over the last few months and damage your reputation. Again, take advantage of free training. I'm gonna make remarks on this. It's free, it's important, and more than training is staying abreast with what's going on out there, which is ever changing, especially in these times of great concern. Threats are, thousands of threats arise every minute on the internet, if not tens of thousands. Internet browsing, it's very important. You're going to be doing a lot. Like Rohan said, you're going to have to relearn everything. You're going to have to rehire new people. So keep your internet browsers clean. Don't install any add-ons. Disable autocompletes. Don't save your passwords on the internet. If you use websites all the time, these customers, these vendors, these partners, save them on your favorites, so you don't have to, you avoid the risk of typing that URL, making a mistake, and going to a fake website. It's very hard to infect your favorites on your computer. That pretty much is a out of jail free card. It saves you trouble. You don't have to think about it every time you use it. Next slide, please. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, so protect your privacy online. Again, avoid sharing your information with unsolicited callers. You're gonna get a lot of these as you become more and more present online. Be aware of phishing and scammers. This can come through email. Now they come through text. You get phishing via phone calls. You may even get it through the regular mail. These people are going crazy. They're trying to steal people's information, and information is money on the digital world. Use caution when resetting your credentials online. If you provided all the so instance your link, then you need to reset your password. Don't click on that link. Go to the website. You know the website. You have it on your favorites already. If when you go to the website, your old password words and there's no notice there, that was bogus. If you don't remember the website, call your bank, call your card provider. It's safer. There's no reason to click on that link that they send you, especially if you weren't expecting it. If nothing has happened and you don't see any malicious behavior on your daily activities. And lastly, keep your computers and your environment clean, not just your computers. It's very important. Malware will infect your websites, put content that you don't necessarily want your customers to see. It would defeat your websites. It would replace your picture with pictures that has malicious content. It would hold your computers ransom, hostage for ransom, take you offline for a few days, damage your reputation. Browser add-ons, again, they're bad. They steal your information. They add advertisement, inject advertisement into your advertisement, into your data. Again, poisoning your online stores on stealing customers from your business. Always scan files before downloading them. Make sure that you have an up-to-date operating system that receives updates, and that you have anti-malware running on your computers. If you have an office, a place, business that it's either your home office or a storefront where you're going to have an internal environment, more than likely you're going to buy a firewall. Make sure that when you buy that firewall, you get a firewall that comes with all the bells and whistles. For the same cost on the SMB or small business environment, you can get an appliance that's going to give you VPN, meaning remote access, secure remote access. You're going to have built-in URL filtering and some other features that you're going to be able to take advantage of at the same cost, or maybe a couple more dollars more than what you pay for the regular device that don't have any of this. And again, I'll leave you with Homeland Security campaign, Stop, Think, Connect, stay up to date and train. Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Nelson. Great presentation and a lot of good information in these times where when the risks are higher for doing business. So thank you so much. And in the next slide, so we're going to have our moderator, Alex Camundi from our team. So Alex, you can take it from here.
And good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. My portion of this web conference is to discuss the telepresence and customer service aspects of it. So, as we all know, resulting from COVID and the social distancing mandates, businesses have had to sidestep the traditional ways of delivering services to customers. So one of those ways that people have kind of stepped into is using web conferencing to bring the public or just a face-to-face conversation with customers and stakeholders directly to the retail business. A good telepresence application should enhance the operations. It should facilitate communications, not really add more complexity to the transaction or the interactions. What does that mean? That means you want this to be something simple. You want to be able to offer some kind of telepresence to your customers without having to get on the phone and explain to them, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is how you're going to do it, da-da-da-da. You want something that's a quick, simple URL or a quick, simple link or a vanity link that's set up somewhere on your website so that they can easily and quickly be brought into that new space. You want to engage them quickly. You want to have them there. You want to, as Roland said, be the customer service advocate. Yes, everything is all about you at this point. You are my focus. You are the thing that I need to see. You are what I need to hear. So it should not frighten or intimidate the user. So you want to be able to brand it so that when they do click on something and they land on this new page or they're coming into this new portal, they know that it's still you. The same way that Roland had suggested to have pictures of you and your consultants and your marketing and your warehousing people. Make it as personalized and as built to your business as possible. It really should feel like a normal extension of the existing business model. Like Sarah had mentioned, with the brick and mortars going virtually, that is pretty much one of the biggest things. If you were to imagine a space where you can have an open conference room or an open webinar or something to that effect, where it's being used in that respect, now you can have your customers come in and they can chat with you directly. If you're a chef and you're going to be doing a session on how you're going to be cooking your famous meals, you can go ahead and focus it on that, take questions and answers from the people, have interactive communications with them. You want to leave the customer with the desire to use the platform again. You want to make it easy for them so that they're not scared of it. Some of the leading telepresence apps that facilitate this, and each, by no means is this a conclusive list, but each of them have their benefits. So what is Slack? Slack is a business workplace communication tool where you can sign up for chats and channels. So you as a business owner can set up your own Slack channel, and now you can use that as part of your marketing, where you can tell people, hey, visit us on Slack. Then you can put up commercials, you can put up videos, you can put up advertisements, you can put up discounts that you're offering. And then you have a one-on-one communication or a one-to-many communication with your customers. Microsoft Teams is also another big one that has come up now with everything. Microsoft Teams gives you the opportunity of sharing files as well. So if you're doing something where you now have a presence, where you have somebody that you're speaking with, a customer or a stakeholder, you can send invoices directly through there. You can have chat conversations through there. If you need to do order processing and everything like that, you can do it through there as well as another option. Skype is the more traditional version of Teams. That's the personal side of Teams, if you will. Google Hangouts is another one that is it's a Google product that makes it very simple to join a chat, a text, or even a video conference directly from any handset device, Android tablets, web browsers, anything like that. Goto Meeting was another one that was traditional. It allows for remote support, which is a great thing if you're in the tech industry, because you can go ahead and set up a Goto Meeting space You can be on the phone with your customers, and with just a couple of clicks, you can have a remote session going out to them. Now, this is also something that you need to be weary of, because without branding, without giving them a simple way of joining this, this could also be an avenue that attackers can exploit. I'm sure that you guys have heard about the online scams where people will call, and they're calling from your bank, or they're calling from, you know, the IRS or whoever, and they want to connect to your computer so that they can make sure that everything's good. Those are the kinds of tools that they would employ. So if you are going to be a small business that's going to kind of shift your products and your delivery systems, make sure that it is very clear to the customer what you're doing, what your intentions are, and how you're going to be leveraging this new technology with it. Cisco Webex is another platform that does the same thing, where you can speak with people many to one. However, you know, it's broken down. And of course, last but not least, the big beneficiary of everything recently with their step into the game, Zoom. Zoom gives us the opportunity to leverage one-on-one meetings, on-demand meetings. It can have a conference room opened up, or even just a, you know, think of a TV in your workspace, just linked to a Zoom account. So now you can have people from their cell phones, from their tablets, from their computers, from whichever device they want, really, quickly and easily join your Zoom room, and you have a direct one-on-one contact with them. So the benefit of Zoom also, you can do webinars, as we're doing now. So now you can really interact with your customers. You can have a polling session where you can ask your customers what they want to see from your business, or how your business can improve really in this new space that we're all navigating. So some considerations that you need to take into effect, of course, as Nelson had discussed, was security. This is both for your business and for your customer. You really do want to make the customer feel that you are taking into consideration their needs, and you are providing the most robust and the most secure platform delivery that you're doing. With these comes cost. So you need to associate the service. You need to say if your business can absorb this expenditure, if you want to pass this on to the customer, if you want to make it a subscription model. And those are things really that you need to kind of look at what your business product is and how you are delivering your business to the customers to really look at. The infrastructure costs, you know, you want to bring the virtual world and the brick and mortar together. So there are going to be some costs, as Nelson mentioned, firewalls, VPNs, things of that nature, where you are really securing it. Another consideration is how many people do you want to hit at the same time. For example, using Zoom, a free subscription will give you 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and you can have up to X amount of people. Once you go over that, now you have to purchase a plan that will allow you to have 100 people, or you can purchase a plan for 300 or 1,000. All of those have costs that you're going to have to look in and analyze to make sure that, yes, there is an additional hit to our budget, but will we get a good return on it? And then one of the final considerations that you really do need to do is, how will the customer be utilizing these new services that you're bringing out to market? So you want something that is going to be dead simple, very easy to use, and extremely accessible over many platforms. So at this point in the game, you've got Apple products, you've got PC products, you've got Apple phones, you've got Android devices, you've got tablets, you've got all of these different devices that all of these vendors are now beginning to create apps for and avenues for the users to use. So that's another big consideration that you will need to take into effect, you know, to make sure that you have a successful deployment of teleconferencing applications. So with that, we're going to go ahead and open up the Q&A session. Mr. Rodolfo, if I can go ahead and just kind of sidestep into that as well, since I have the floor. We have received a couple of questions already through the Q&A. I want to thank all of the people that have taken place and participated in it. One of the questions came, and Lan, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pitch this question to you, and then you can go ahead and pass it on to Roland, and if Dr. Rushanek has any input on it. The question was, what has been shown to be the best social media platform for retail, for shopping, for Facebook, for Instagram, etc.? So with that, Lan, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to you.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, in my experience, depending on the industry. Oh, okay. Now I can be heard. Thank you, Alex. So in my experience, it pays to do a little research about the industry and the different social platforms. For example, one small business owner in the cafe industry, they recently shared with us that they've got great results, even though they just set up a presence on Instagram very quickly. And the reason is that they could post questions for people to respond to. One, they could also even start a loyalty program. Say if someone does this and they're a loyal customer, then if the loyal customers get something as an offer from the cafe. So they got great results from running a Instagram presence there. So with that, I know Roland has a ocean of knowledge on that. I just pass on to him.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah, yeah. It will depend. It's a very complex question, and I need a lot of feedback before I can answer it correctly. Because, but the main question will be in which one of them you're stronger presence. If you don't have a strong presence on the social media platform itself, no platform is best. I mean, it's all the same. In the one you choose, depending on your industry, like Lance said, it's the one that you have to start working on, start to moving content to and creating content for. There is no best platform. It's just in which one you're best, so you can deliver or create that content to bring trust, so the customer can purchase from you, or to do or create a conversion, whatever it is. But there's no really one best one. It's just in the one you're best. I mean, if you ask me, YouTube, and you won't get me out of YouTube. Why? Because I like educational resources. I like instructionals. I like to teach people, and I like the feedback that I get. It's very professional, very knowledgeable. It's not Instagram, which everything is more casual, more unengaged. But if you're selling clothing and swimwear or something like that, then Instagram is more engaging. But again, you need to have that social media work it out in order to get the most benefits out of it. I don't know if.
Yeah, what I wanted to, you hear me?
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Sarah. We hear you
Good,
fine.
Good, good. What I wanted to say, what's important is who is your customer? Who are you trying to engage? I'll give you an example. I don't know if any of you know Dr. Miami. He's a plastic surgeon, and he was very traditional, and he loves to be a showman. And he came to us to ask about broadcasting. Since I broadcast my classes live via YouTube, he's doing it. But what he is doing, he found out that Snapchat, because he was going for that younger demographics, he created a whole reality show. So just like I agree with Roland, we do well on a YouTube, he does well on Snapchat, or I have others for restaurants, for the bars. They do quite well on Instagram. They create little videos. So I think one is that you have to continue doing it, just like a relationship. I cannot have a relationship with somebody one time and expect to be their best friend. So you have to think about not only what you have the proficiencies in, and if you don't have it, get others to provide that to you, but think about your audience. And I think what is your social media for your audience is also going to be key. So it's different whether it's going to be for the restaurant business, whether it's going to be even professionals, and even like the plastic surgeon, something like the Dr. so-called Miami you can look up. He's now even doing Botox through your car. You drive through a window of Botox, and he then broadcasts that on Snapchat and other areas. So, and then you can think about. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you very much, Doctor and Landon and Roland, for those insights. Another question that we had was, how are we approaching data security for remote workers? So I think that Nelson and I would be able to answer that question just because of what we've been doing recently. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give it to Nelson first, so he can go ahead and give you some good guidelines on how to secure your remote workers.
Okay. Again, it depends on your environment, on what you're doing. What is your platform? Are you on Office 365? Are you on Google? Are people remoting into your office? There's many different flavors to it. So for people remoting into your office, let's say that you have local resources that you cannot afford to put them on the cloud this time. You still need to use them. So people are going to have to come into your office securely. So that's where the VPN comes in. That's where you have anti-malware on your computers and some sort of a protection running on your a small business network, which could also be running on the firewall, a network-based antivirus. Now, if you are on Office 365, make sure that you may have to upgrade your licenses to be able to control your OneDrive environment and what moves away from it and what not, and make sure that people can only cannot move that data from their OneDrive, your business OneDrive to their personal OneDrive. Again, that costs money. Google Cloud has something similar, and all the clouds have something similar. Office 365 is the most commonly seen out there today, just because it comes to your email and with some other features that are included in that licensing. But it's like we just heard about social media. You have to do your research because every platform, it's different, and but they all have measures that you can take.
Nelson, thank you very much for that. Another question that would be similarly related, do you have any sites or any websites or any good web resources that would be a good collection of firewall programs or anti-malware, the stuff that's leading the edge right now?
Yeah, I'll tell you what they are, but I'm also going to type the answer in the chat on the Q&A. So the best appliances out there for the enterprise are the best that they make also programs for small business, and they all have programs and promotions and whatnot. So I would recommend go with the Checkpoint Small Business Appliance or the Fortinet Small Business Appliance, or you can also get a Palo Alto Small Business Appliance. They all come with URL filtering or what they call total security, which includes everything. However, if you're a small business that also needs wireless and also needs phones and firewall and VPN, Fortinet is the way to go, the most economical way, because this is not what you do. You don't want to be learning all this stuff or hiring 5 people to do it for you. Fortinet comes with out-of-the-box instructions on how to do everything. Everything talks to the firewall and it runs everything for you. And it's very, very affordable. I'm going to type the websites on the answer.
Excellent. And we will include all of these links and everything like that. And we've already gone ahead. Lan was able to send us the Open Commons that has the e-resource kit. And there's about over 150 little resources that can definitely point you guys in the right direction there. Excellent. Another question that I have here is nonprofits and technology. And the question is kind of being open to all of the panel members. If anyone on the panel can elaborate on this subject.
I can. I replied to the question with a link. We have very good feedback. We're Google partners, so I'm very biased on this. They have G Suite or Google Apps or whatever the name is now, because they changed the name a lot. But they have Google Apps, which is Gmail, Google Meet, Google Drive, and all that integrated for free for nonprofits. So you can do remote working and all that, and everything is included, including Google Vault, which is a feature that saves everyone's everything forever. It's kind of creepy, but it's very good for solving corporate issues. They have access to that. They have Google grants, Google Ad grants, which is a $10,000 per month grant on ads for Google, which is basically, I don't know who wouldn't love to have that, because it's $10,000 a month for free for nonprofits on Google Ads. It's life-changing. I mean, I have seen nonprofits glow with that. I have seen nonprofits doing nothing with that, because it also means that you need to have all the change and all the things in place in order to again take advantage of that $10,000 on ads, which translating like 100,000 visits per month. So if you don't have the technology to delegate that to the chat to someone or to something, and the emails that are going to come with that, or the phone calls, it's very complex. But if you have that in place and you have someone to take 200, 300 phone calls a day, then it's a bless. So it comes with the it's good and bad at the same time. If you have the ways to take advantage of it, it's gonna be a complete bless. It's amazing. If you don't, it's just something that I don't know. It's not cool. I don't like when I see nonprofit doesn't take any advantage of it. They have also some YouTube features, and also they have Google for Education. If you are a school or something related with education, like a university or a college, you can apply for Google for Education. Again, it's free. You get all the stuff related for Google for Education. It's awesome. I still don't understand why the school are using Zoom instead of Google for Education, but that's, I mean, as far as I know, for nonprofit, that's all I have.
This is Lan Jensen. Well, being a nonprofit ourselves, I also have a few points to add to that. Roland is, hello there. This is Lan Jensen. Besides the Google G Suite, which is wonderful, our nonprofit uses it. Also, besides that, we have along the way utilized a couple of other technologies. One is Techsoup. If you have not used it before, I would recommend it. It does charge a $80 a year fee, but once you're on that, you can get access to many other free or discounted services. For example, AWS credit of $2,000 a year you can get for your website. And another one is Intuit. Everyone, if you do business, you will need some payroll facilities, applications. And so Intuit has that offered through Techsoup as well, etc. Some other resources would include really free from all the different offers. For example, there is a nonprofit called Global Cyber Alliance, and they offer security tools. They have a SMB SMB security kit for free entirely. And another tool is Let's Encrypt. So you know that all the websites, if not encrypted, you have a lot of risks. But with Let's Encrypt, is entirely free. So etc. The list is going to be pretty long. And get in touch with one of us. We can help along the way.
Excellent.
And thank you, Alex. Right, and Alex said that you posted the e-resource kit that the NIST and DHS-led initiative called Smart Secure Cities and Community Challenge. So what happened is that that entire public-private partnership has established a COVID-19 workforce. So a dedicated team has been compiling a lot of resources together into that, everything in one place, includes even first responders' needs, including SMBs' needs in finance, in online capabilities, and security, etc. So I hope people can find good use of that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And our last question did come in, and we did have it answered in text format, but I'm going to go ahead and read it out so that everyone who's not seeing it on the chat can benefit from it. The question was, for a retail store now going to e-commerce, should one start with a few products and sell them via Amazon, or is it better to use one's own website and marketing efforts / SEO? And the answer, in short, was it will depend on your marketing budget and on the profit margin of your products. So each of these different avenues is kind of tailor-built to what your products are. So for those kinds of questions and those kinds of answers, definitely you would want to reach out towards a consultant. Roland, if you have anything else to add, or if you have any other suggestions or resources that may assist or may even just enhance the answer there.
Yeah, it's a very common question on the, for everybody. One of the things that you have to keep in mind, and that's why it's so important to have a clear marketing budget and also a clear profit margin, is because Amazon can take up to 22% of the sales of the margin. So plus shipping. So unless you have a very large margin on your products, it's gonna be really hard to sell on Amazon. Also, you have to take in consideration that you have to promote that product. You have to pay for marketing on Amazon also, because otherwise you're gonna be down where the bottom feeders are in Amazon. So your product won't get the exposure that you want. So you have to add the margin that Amazon will take from you, the shipping, and the marketing budget. So that narrows a lot the amount or the type of vendor or the type of product that you can put on Amazon. You can also play with volume. I mean, maybe you do just 1%, but you're planning to sell 300,000 units per month. That will work, but still, it will depend on what you have in place. That versus marketing is, well, Amazon is Amazon. Doing on your own, we go back to volume, and we go back to, can you put 300,000 visitors on your site, which will translate, I don't know, $3,000 a month on advertising, or $2,000 a month on advertising. If you can afford that, then yes, it's always better to do it on your own, because you're going to keep the full profit, but it's going to be hard to they have the audience, so you have to gain that audience. Long term, it's better to have it on your own. It depends if it's an opportunistic business, like we're seeing tons of customers going to sell, how do you say, PPE things, so personal protection equipment. They're going nuts going on Amazon, but it's not a long-term type of business. The ones that have that as a long-term proposition, they're selling on Amazon a little bit, but they're focusing a lot on the online store.
Thank you very much. We did get another question come in through here on the Q&A, and the question is, to grow your clients, is it correct to buy an email list? And if positive, which firms are reliable for email listings? I'll open that to the entire panel if anyone can chime in on that.
I'm not a good source for that answer. I'm very polarized. They don't work. At least we haven't seen one working yet in 20-something years. It's a lot of, they sell you a lot of garbage. Also, the thing with that is that's all marketing, and all marketing doesn't work. That trend of purchase me something here, I'm selling you something here, look at me, I'm gonna call you 200 times to get you and to sell you something. It doesn't work anymore. So purchasing an email list means that you have zero relationship with that person. They're gonna get an email from someone that they don't know, that with a product or service that they don't know, that they don't trust, they have no idea where it's coming from. They had never got any email from you before, which goes into security, and the spam folder on Google will say that goes to spam because we have never seen Roland reply to any email coming from that domain. It's not worth it. It's not. I mean, again, it's better to. It's easier because you get, I don't know, 900,000 email addresses, but of those, maybe 100,000 won't work because they're obsolete completely. Also, where are they getting that information from? You know, most of them are like leak websites or leak like Comcast leaks, or it's weird. I don't recommend it. It's my personal opinion. Maybe it will work for someone else, but it's also kind of against the law. So I don't know if someone has a better experience, but I don't.
You know, it's interesting. It's again that trust issue. Think about yourself. How many times have you bought anything from an email that somebody was unsolicited? And I agree. It's been zero for me, right? The only thing is maybe if it's a connection where it's compelling. But think about yourself. Is when you get all those spams, right? You're even reluctant to pick up a phone now, right? When you get a call from somebody you don't know.
And you can earn complaints for your business. They can be flagged as spammer, and you gotta be very careful because it can damage your online reputation. But today, people report distance to several websites that are searchable online. And if you have too many of these negative reviews, then yeah, your online presence is not going to be very trustworthy moving forward.
Oh yeah, that's assuming that you have a service to send those emails, because MailChimp won't take them, Constant Contact won't take them. You know, that's assuming that you have a web server to send that thing out. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to go ahead and add there as well. Possibly another avenue that you might want to explore is create a landing page on your website or on your social media where you're promoting a survey of collecting the information. So that way you're targeting your audience. Your audience is voluntarily giving you your information. And then at that point, you can really use that to then send out your emails via Constant Contact or via other email marketing that you have been able to curate and collect from customers that are related to your business.
Good point.
To piggyback on what Ron said before at the beginning of the webinar, you don't have to do these things yourself. There are very professional ways of creating these landing pages and surveys, and that is Contact. You already paid them to do your marketing, to your email marketing. Part of that service is to get a survey. All you have to do is insert it on your website, and it feeds your email list directly from there.
And I think in return, give value. Everybody appreciates if you're giving value, even like the tips and tricks of your product, not only tips of the industry. If you're in social marketing, right, the tips and tricks of what are the best ways to market. And if you give value, then people have the trust in you as well. And in the internet, it's viral too. If you start getting a bad reputation, it can go real far, real fast. Everything on the internet. Sometimes I tell my students when we do the automated trading systems, I said, you know, I'm not going to allow you to put even $1 in, because the computer can lose money a lot faster than even I can lose my own money. So everything is at a super warp speed. You got to be careful.
So thank you so much.
No, go ahead.
You were going to say. Go
Oh
ahead.
no,
Go ahead.
it's way easier to get or the bad news travels really fast on the internet, and the good news are
Well,
so
it's like,
freaking slow that it's awful.
yeah,
So for
and it
you to
also
get a
gets out of proportion too. You know, it's like
yeah,
you could have 100 happy customers and you get 2 unhappy customers, right? It can travel, so.
it's painful. It's painful because even us that we are a service company, we don't have like physical products. For us to get a review is really hard, and just because one they're very protective of us. Like no one wants to like show us to their friends because they're mine. They're you know
Yeah,
so.
well, they don't want the competition.
Yeah, at all. They're like, it's very
Right,
weird
right.
because
If
it's
I
like,
give it to you, then I'm not gonna, my
yeah,
site's not gonna look as good.
yeah, but it's also that you know, it's a mindset of small, of thinking
Right,
small. I mean,
thinking
it's the
now.
freaking internet. There's room for
Right.
everybody.
Nothing is private anymore too.
Yeah. So, but for us to have a perfect score on every single review, it's really hard, and and just one review can screw it off. Especially if you have a few. If you have thousands, it's easier. But it's
Yeah, even sometimes when I go to a store, a physical bricks and mortar, and I'll come, I say, where's the manager? And I can see the fear in the manager's eyes, right? He's going to see, oh, this lady's going to give me, you know, a hard time. And I said, I just want to give you a compliment. And they're like, oh, this is unusual, getting a compliment. You know, I want to commend this person's work. So it's the same way, but it's infiltrated so much more on the internet, and it's magnified 1 billion times more. Well, guys, thank you so much. You did an awesome job. I wanted to thank Coral Gables too for inviting us.
Thank you very much for having us.
So thank you so much. So I think that we did good with timing, and we were able to answer all the questions. And I would like to say that we will have a web page, and we will send emails to all the participants with links to get the recording of this webinar and get all the other documentation and hyperlinks and follow-up webinars and any other information that is relevant and was discussed today. We are going to do our best to capture all the information and display it on that web page. So I would like to take the last few minutes to thank all our participants. So great questions. So those questions were a great segue to this discussion, this conversation. And I want to thank our panelists. Really, not only they are top experts in their fields, but they have a big heart too. So they are helping their communities through nonprofit organizations. They are volunteering their times and their work and the resources from their organizations to help our communities and the businesses that are facing the challenges of this pandemic. So thank you so much to all of them for their insight and for their great knowledge and for their generosity to our community. So I am sure that many of the attendees and our businesses and the businesses that look at this recording of this webinar, they will get very useful resources and takeaways that will make a difference. So I would like to thank Alex Gamundi, our moderator, you know, for the that was very flawless and very good session, very good moderated. And thank you for helping us to put all this together and for your insight too, Alex. So excellent, thank you so much. And I would like to thank the Economic Development Department, Director Julian Perez, Assistant Director Belkis Perez, for their partnership and for including us in their webinar series and for all the great work that they do for our communities. So thank you so much. So with that, so I would like to say thanks to all, and so please wait for the email with additional information. So thank you.